The assembled representatives leaned forward, their varied physiologies, from the gas bag-like Floatians to the crystalline Quartzins, all showing signs of intense interest. Our deep space exploration vessel, the Harmony, has made contact with a new sentient species, Zix-Era continued. They call themselves humans. An excited murmur rippled through the chamber. First contact was always a momentous occasion, a time of celebration and wonder. But something in Zix-Era's tone gave them pause. "What troubles you, Ambassador?" asked Grohl, the eldest of the rock-like Grenolians. "Surely this is joyous news." Zix-Era's inner eyelids flickered nervously. "The humans are different, Council. They come from a world that defies all logic, a planet that by all rights should be uninhabitable. They call it Earth." She activated a holographic display, showing a blue-green world spinning slowly. At first glance, it appears pleasant enough. But observe. The display zoomed in, showing time-lapse footage of raging storms, erupting volcanoes, flash floods, and wildfires. The Council gasped collectively. "This is their homeworld," Zix-Era explained. "A planet of such extreme conditions that no Confederation species could survive there for more than a few hours. The gravity alone would crush most of us." "Impossible," whispered Aethera, the wispy cloud-born representative. "No sentient life could evolve in such conditions." "And yet they have," Zix-Era replied. "Not only have they survived, but they've thrived. They've built sprawling cities, developed advanced technology, and have begun to explore their local star system." The Council sat in stunned silence as Zix-Era continued her report. She detailed the humans' bizarre biology, their internal skeletons, their ability to heal from grievous injuries, their capacity to eat almost anything. She described their history, filled with conflict and struggle, yet also with remarkable achievements and resilience. "But surely," interjected Quartz 7, the Quartzian delegate, "such a species must be savage and violent. How can we consider diplomatic relations with creatures forged in such a crucible?" Zix-Era's scales rippled in what her species' equivalent of a smile. "That's the most remarkable part, Council. Despite their harsh origins, the humans have developed a complex culture, filled with art, music, and philosophy. They are capable of great kindness and empathy, even as they possess strength that would terrify most Confederation citizens." She played a recording of her first meeting with the human representatives. The aliens watched in awe as the strange bipedal creatures greeted Zix-Era with smiles and open arms, their voices filled with excitement and curiosity. "They are eager to join the galactic community," Zix-Era explained. "They bring with them technologies we've never dreamed of, forged by the necessity of surviving on their Deathworld." The Council chamber erupted in discussion. Some were excited by the prospect of new allies with unique abilities. Others were terrified, fearing that exposure to these Deathworlders could upset the delicate balance of their peaceful society. Grohl, the Grenolian elder, raised a stony appendage for silence. "Ambassador Zix-Era," he rumbled, "your report is most disturbing, yet intriguing. What do you recommend?" Zix-Era took a deep breath. "I believe we must embrace this opportunity, Councilors. The humans, despite their frightening capabilities, have shown nothing but friendliness and a genuine desire for peaceful contact. Their resilience and adaptability could be invaluable assets to the Confederation." She paused, looking around the chamber. "Moreover, I fear that if we reject them, we may one day come to regret it. A species that can survive and flourish in such conditions will not be easily deterred from exploring the galaxy. Better to have them as friends than potential foes." The Council debated long into the night. Fear warred with curiosity, caution with the thrill of discovery. In the end, it was decided the Galactic Confederation would extend an official welcome to humanity. As the Council adjourned, Zix-Era felt a mix of relief and trepidation. She knew that integrating humans into galactic society would be a monumental challenge. Their strength, their resilience, their very way of thinking, All of it was alien in the truest sense of the word. Yet, as she remembered the warmth in the humans' eyes, their genuine excitement at meeting new life forms, she felt a spark of hope. Perhaps these Deathworlders were exactly what the Confederation needed to shake it out of its complacency, to remind them of the wonders and challenges the universe still held. As she left the chamber, Zix began composing a message to her new human friends. "Greetings," she began. "On behalf of the Galactic Confederation, I am pleased to extend an official invitation." The message streaked across the vast distances of space, carrying with it the promise of a new era for both humanity and the Confederation. An era that would change the face of the galaxy forever. Cultural exchange. The great halls of the Galactic Confederation's Central Space Station, Harmony Hub, bustled with an unprecedented energy. It had been 3 standard cycles since the official welcome of humanity into the galactic community, and the impact was already rippling through every aspect of Confederation life. Dr. Lyrell, a Floatian xenobiologist, floated nervously outside the quarantine chamber. Her gaseous form shimmered with anticipation as she prepared to conduct the first comprehensive biological study of a human volunteer. The airlock hissed open, and out stepped Jason Chen, a grin on his face and a spring in his step that seemed to defy the station's artificial gravity. "Good morning, Dr. Lyrell." Jason's voice boomed, causing nearby sensitive-eared Audiosians to wince. "Ready to science the heck out of me." Lyrell's translator struggled with the idiom, but she appreciated the enthusiasm. "Indeed, Jason. Let's begin with basic physiological readings." As they proceeded with the examination, Lyrell found herself constantly surprised. Jason's endoskeleton, a rarity among Confederation species, was both flexible and incredibly durable. His ability to regulate his internal temperature, heal from injuries, and resist a wide range of environmental toxins was nothing short of miraculous to the Floatian scientist. "Jason," Lyrell asked, her voice filled with wonder, "how do your people cope with the constant threat of death on your world?" Jason chuckled. "Constant threat? Doc, that's just Tuesday for us. We've learned to adapt, to find joy in the challenge. It's not about surviving. It's about thriving." This concept of thriving in adversity fascinated Lyrell. It was so foreign to the Confederation's philosophy of avoiding conflict and seeking harmony at all costs. Meanwhile, in the station's cultural center, Ambassador Zix was hosting a human art exhibition. The walls were adorned with paintings, sculptures, and holographic displays showcasing the breadth of human creativity. Grohl, the Grenolian elder, stood transfixed before a large canvas splashed with vibrant colors. What is this meant to represent?" he rumbled, his rocky form vibrating with confusion. Sarambiki, the human cultural attaché, smiled. "That's abstract expressionism, Elder Grohl. It's meant to evoke emotions rather than depict something specific. What does it make you feel?" Grohl was silent for a long moment. "It makes me feel unsettled, yet strangely alive." He turned his craggy face to Sarah. "Is this how you see your world? A chaos of color and emotion?" Sarah nodded. "In a way, yes. Our art, like our lives, is often about finding beauty in chaos, meaning in struggle." Across the station, similar scenes of cultural exchange were playing out. In the hydroponics bay, human chefs were introducing Confederation botanists to Earth vegetables, explaining concepts like spice and seasoning to species whose dietary needs had always been purely functional. In the engineering sector, human technicians were collaborating with Quartzian crystalsmiths, combining Earth's robust, adaptable technology with the Quartzians' elegant, energy-efficient designs. The results were already promising, with prototypes for new shields and propulsion systems that could revolutionize space travel. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. In the station's recreation area, a friendly arm wrestling match between a human marine and a Jorgan warrior had ended with the Jorgan's exoskeleton cracked and his pride severely wounded. The incident sparked a heated debate in the Confederation Council about safety protocols and the potential dangers of human strength. Ambassador Zixera found herself constantly mediating between excited Confederation scientists, eager to study humans, and human representatives, concerned about being treated like lab specimens. She marveled at the humans' complex mix of openness and privacy, their willingness to share knowledge coupled with a fierce protection of individual rights. As the cultural exchange program progressed, both humans and Confederation species found themselves reevaluating long-held beliefs. The Cloudborn, who had always prided themselves on their detachment from physical concerns, were inspired by human philosophy to explore the connection between mind and body. Human spirituality, with its myriad forms and interpretations, fascinated species who had long ago settled into unified belief systems. Yet, challenges remained. Many Confederation citizens still feared the humans, seeing them as unpredictable and potentially dangerous. Human directness in communication often clashed with the more subtle, harmonious approaches of other species, and always there was the underlying current of anxiety. What would happen if the humans ever turned their incredible adaptability and strength against the Confederation? Despite these tensions, the majority on both sides remained committed to making the partnership work. Humans, for their part, were thrilled at the opportunity to explore the galaxy and learn from ancient, advanced civilizations. Many saw it as a chance to move beyond the conflicts of their past and forge a new destiny among the stars. As the first phase of cultural exchange neared its end, Ambassador Zixera stood in her office, gazing out at the stars. She reflected on how much had changed in such a short time. The Confederation, which had been stable for millennia, was now in a state of rapid evolution, spurred on by human influence. Her comm unit chimed, displaying an urgent message from Earth. A human colony on a newly terraformed Mars was facing a crisis. A massive dust storm threatened to overwhelm their life support systems. Without hesitation, Zixera began coordinating a Confederation relief effort. It would be the first true test of their fledgling alliance. As she worked, Zixera realized that this was just the beginning. The galaxy was entering a new age, one shaped by the unlikely partnership between the peaceful Confederation and the resilient Deathworlders. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. The future, like humanity itself, was unpredictable, dangerous, and filled with incredible potential. Galactic crisis. The emergency alarms blared throughout Harmony Hub, their urgent wail a stark contrast to the station's usual serene atmosphere. Ambassador Zixera burst into the Confederation Council chamber, her scales a frantic swirl of colors. "Counselors," she gasped, "we face a threat unlike any in our history." The assembled representatives fell silent, their diverse physiologies united in shared anxiety. Grohl, the Grenolian elder, spoke first. "Explain, Ambassador." Zixera activated the central holodisplay, revealing a terrifying image. A massive amorphous cloud of swirling darkness was creeping across the galaxy, engulfing star systems in its path. "We're calling it the Void," Zixera explained. "It's some sort of extra-dimensional anomaly, consuming energy and matter alike. Our outpost in the Cygnus Arm was the first to detect it, moments before going dark." The council erupted in panicked discussion. The Cloudborn representative, Athera, wailed, "How can we fight something we don't understand?" As if in answer, the doors to the chamber burst open. Jason Chen strode in, flanked by Sarah Miki and a team of human scientists. "Maybe you can't," Jason said, his voice cutting through the chaos. "But we might have a shot." Zixera nodded gratefully at the humans. In the months since the cultural exchange, she had come to rely on their unique perspective. "Please, explain." Sarah stepped forward, her dark eyes intense. "The Void bears similarities to extreme phenomena we've observed on Earth. Black holes, antimatter reactions, even some theoretical quantum events. We've been running simulations based on your data and our experience with similar, smaller-scale anomalies." She gestured, and the holodisplay change, showing complex equations and models. Most of the council looked baffled, but the Quartzian scientists were nodding in excitement. Jason took over. Bottom line, we think we can create a device to generate a controlled implosion, collapsing the void in on itself. But we'll need to deliver it to the heart of the anomaly. The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Grohl rumbled. That would be a suicide mission. No ship we have could survive those conditions. A grim smile played on Jason's lips. No ship you have, maybe. But we humans have experience building vehicles to withstand extreme conditions. Give us access to your most advanced tech, and we'll create something that can do the job. The debate raged for hours. Many council members were hesitant to place the fate of the galaxy in human hands. Others argued that they had no choice. The void was expanding rapidly, and no other species had put forth a viable solution. In the end, desperation won out. The Confederation threw its full resources behind the human plan. Over the next few weeks, Harmony Hub transformed into a hive of frenetic activity. Human engineers worked alongside the brightest minds of the Confederation, pushing the boundaries of what was possible. The result was the Starcrusher, a ship unlike any the galaxy had seen. Built around a reinforced human design, it incorporated Quartzian crystal matrices for power, Floatian adaptive force fields, and Granolian ultra-dense armor. At its heart lay the Void Collapser, a device that melded human theoretical physics with ancient Confederation energy manipulation techniques. As the day of launch approached, tension on the station reached a fever pitch. The Void had already consumed 3 star systems and showed no signs of slowing. If the human plan failed, there would be no second chance. In the Starcrusher's hangar, Zixera watched as the human crew made final preparations. Captain Elena Rodriguez, a veteran of the Mars dust crisis, would lead the mission. Her team was a mix of Earth's finest, scientists, soldiers, and explorers, all volunteers. Zixera approached Elena, her voice soft. "Are you certain about this, Captain? The odds of survival are not favorable." Elena's laugh was sharp, but not unkind. "Ambassador, if humans only did things when the odds were good, we'd never have left our caves." Her expression softened. "This is what we do. We face the impossible, and we find a way through." As the Starcrusher prepared for launch, news spread throughout Confederation space. Billions of beings from 17 species watched, hoped, and for the first time in many of their cultures' histories, prayed. The ship's engines flared to life, a brilliant blue against the backdrop of space. With a final salute to the waiting dignitaries, Captain Rodriguez and her crew blasted off, heading towards the heart of darkness that threatened to consume them all. Zixera watched the ship disappear into the distance, a complex mix of emotions washing over her: fear, hope, and a newfound respect for these strange, brave Deathworlders who had become so crucial to the Confederation in so short a time. As the Starcrusher vanished from sight, Zixera turned to the assembled council. "And now," she said, her voice steady, "we wait." The fate of the galaxy hung in the balance, resting on the shoulders of a species that, mere months ago, the Confederation hadn't even known existed. As the tense vigil began, Zixera found herself pondering the strange paths of destiny that had brought them all to this moment. Whatever the outcome, she realized, the galaxy would never be the same again. Unlikely heroes. The tension in Harmony Hub's command center was palpable as all eyes remained fixed on the main view screen. The Starcrusher had disappeared into the swirling mass of the void hours ago, and since then, there had been nothing but silence. Ambassador Zixera stood rigid, her scales a muted gray of anxiety. Beside her, Dr. Lyrell's gaseous form pulsed erratically, while Grohl remained as impassive as the stone he resembled. The gathered representatives of the Confederation waited, hope warring with despair. Suddenly, a burst of static crackled through the speakers. "Harmony Hub, this is Starcrusher. Do you read?" The room erupted in a cacophony of cheers, trills, and resonant hums as each species expressed their relief in their own way. Zixera rushed to the communications panel. "We read you. Starcrusher. What's your status?" Captain Alina Rodriguez's voice came through, strained but triumphant. "Mission accomplished. Harmony Hub. The Void Collapser worked. I repeat, the Void has been neutralized." A collective sigh of relief swept through the room, but Zixera noticed the tension still in Alina's voice. "Captain, what's wrong?" There was a pause before Alina responded. "The good news is we saved the galaxy. The bad news, the Starcrusher took a beating. We're limping back on auxiliary power, and we've got wounded." Zixera immediately sprang into action, coordinating rescue efforts and medical teams. As the hours ticked by, more details emerged. The Starcrusher had penetrated deep into the void, fighting against forces that threatened to tear the ship apart. At the heart of the anomaly, they'd deployed the Void Collapser, triggering a chain reaction that caused the void to implode. But the victory had come at a cost. The Starcrusher's main drive was offline, its hull breached in multiple places. Only the ingenuity of the human crew and the advanced Confederation technology had kept them alive. As the damaged ship finally limped into view of Harmony Hub, a hush fell over the watching crowd. The once sleek vessel was now a battered hulk, its surface scarred and warped. Yet, to the watching Confederation citizens, it had never looked more beautiful. The Starcrusher docked, and medical teams rushed in. The human crew emerged, battered but unbowed. Many were injured, some seriously, but their eyes shone with the light of victory. Captain Rodriguez was the last to exit, supporting a limping crewmate. As the medical teams took charge, Zixera approached Alina. The human captain looked exhausted, her face pale and drawn, but a smile played at the corners of her mouth. "Captain," Zixera began, her voice thick with emotion, "on behalf of the Galactic Confederation, Alina held up a hand, cutting her off. "Save the speeches for later, Ambassador. Right now, I could really use a beer." Zixera blinked in confusion, her translator struggling with the unfamiliar term. Alina chuckled. "Never mind. How about we just say you owe us one?" In the days that followed, the full story of the Starcrusher's mission came to light. The crew had faced challenges that would have broken most Confederation citizens. They'd endured gravity fluctuations that threatened to crush them, radiation levels that should have been lethal, and psychological stress that pushed them to their limits. Yet, they had persevered. More than that, they had thrived. The human ability to adapt, to find solutions in the face of overwhelming odds, had saved not just themselves, but the entire galaxy. The Confederation Council convened an emergency session to honor the human crew. One by one, representatives from each species stood to express their gratitude and admiration. The Cloudborn spoke of the humans' indomitable spirit, the Quartzians praised their scientific ingenuity, and even the stoic Grenolians admitted to being moved by their bravery. As Zixera listened to the accolades, she realized that something fundamental had shifted. The fear and suspicion that had initially greeted humanity's arrival in the galactic community had been replaced by respect and gratitude. These Deathworlders had proven themselves not just allies, but saviors. The ceremony concluded with the announcement of a new initiative. The Confederation would establish a rapid response force, trained and equipped to handle extreme situations. At its core would be human volunteers, working alongside the best and bravest from other species. As the council chamber emptied, Zixera found herself standing next to Captain Rodriguez. The human looked uncomfortable in her formal uniform, but her eyes sparkled with pride. "So," Alina said, gesturing at the departing dignitaries, "I guess this means we're officially part of the club now." Zixera's scales shimmered with amusement. "Captain, I think it's safe to say that humanity has more than earned its place among us." Alina nodded, her expression turning thoughtful. "You know, when we first met your people, a lot of us were worried. We thought we might be too different too intense for your peaceful confederation. And now? Zixera asked. Now. Elena grinned. Now I'm thinking the galaxy better watch out. Between your tech and our crazy ideas, there's nothing we can't handle. As they looked out at the stars visible through the council chamber's vast windows, Zixera felt a surge of optimism. The void had been the greatest threat the Confederation had ever faced, but in confronting it, they had gained something invaluable. In these unlikely heroes from a distant Deathworld, the Confederation had found not just allies, but a new source of inspiration. The future, once predictable and serene, now pulsed with possibility. The age of humanity in the galaxy had truly begun. A new era. 5 years had passed since the Void Crisis, and a galactic confederation was almost unrecognizable. The integration of humanity had sparked a renaissance across every aspect of galactic society, from technology and science to culture and philosophy. Harmony Hub, once a serene diplomatic outpost, had transformed into a bustling center of innovation. Its halls now echoed with a cacophony of languages, including the various dialects of Earth, as species from across the galaxy came to learn, trade, and collaborate. Ambassador Zixera stood in her office, gazing out at the spectacular view of ships coming and going. A smile played across her scaled features as she reflected on how far they'd come. A chime at her door interrupted her reverie. "Enter," she called. Jason Chen strode in, his hair now streaked with gray, but his eyes as bright as ever. "Ambassador," he grinned, "are you ready for the big unveiling?" Zixera nodded, her scales shimmering with excitement. "I wouldn't miss it for anything, old friend." Together, they made their way to the hub's grand auditorium. The room was packed with representatives from every Confederation species, as well as a contingent of human dignitaries. At the center of the stage stood a shrouded object, easily the size of a small shuttle. As Zixera took her place on stage, she saw familiar faces in the crowd. Dr. Laurel, now the head of a new Xenobiology Institute. Grohl looking as impassive as ever, but with a new crystal medallion indicating his role as liaison to humanity. And there, in the front row, Captain Elena Rodriguez, now Admiral of the Confederation's Rapid Response Fleet. The lights dimmed, and a hush fell over the crowd. Zixera stepped up to the podium, her voice clear and strong. "Friends, colleagues, honored guests. 5 years ago, our galaxy faced its greatest threat. We survived thanks to the courage and ingenuity of our human allies. Today, we unveil the fruit of our continued collaboration." She gestured, and the shroud fell away, revealing a sleek, gleaming vessel unlike anything seen before. "I present to you the Harmony," Zixera announced proudly. "The first of a new class of exploration vessels, combining the best of human and Confederation technology." The crowd gasped in awe. The ship was a marvel, its hull a seamless blend of quartzian crystals and advanced human alloys. Floatian energy fields shimmered around it, while Grenolian-inspired armor plates promised unparalleled protection. Jason stepped forward, his voice filled with pride. "The Harmony isn't just a ship, it's a symbol of what we can achieve together. Its adaptive systems can withstand everything from the crushing gravity of gas giants to the vacuum of intergalactic space. It can traverse dimensions, explore parallel universes, and take us further than we've ever gone before." As Jason continued detailing the ship's capabilities, Zixera found her mind wandering to the journey that had brought them here. The initial fear and mistrust, the cultural clashes, the moments of doubt, all had been overcome. Humanity's resilience, creativity, and indomitable spirit had not only saved the Confederation, but reinvigorated it. The Harmony was more than just a technological marvel. It represented a fundamental shift in the Confederation's philosophy. No longer content to merely maintain peace, they were now pushing boundaries, seeking out new challenges and opportunities. After the presentation, as the crowd mingled and examined holograms of the new ship, Zixera found herself in conversation with Admiral Rodriguez. "Quite a ship," Elena remarked, her eyes twinkling. Almost makes me wish I wasn't stuck behind a desk these days. Zixera chuckled. I'm sure we could find room for you on the maiden voyage, Admiral. Belena's expression turned thoughtful. You know, there are still those back on Earth who think we're moving too fast, integrating too closely with the Confederation. And what do you think? Zixera asked. Belena grinned. I think they're not seeing the big picture. Sure, we've changed the Confederation, but it's changed us too. We're learning to temper our aggression, to channel our drive into exploration rather than conflict. Hell, the last war on Earth ended 2 years ago, and nobody's in a hurry to start a new one. Zixera nodded, understanding. The influence had indeed been mutual. While humanity had injected a new dynamism into Confederation society, the Confederation's emphasis on harmony and cooperation had begun to heal some of humanity's oldest wounds. As the event wound down, Zixera found herself once again at the viewport, staring out at the stars. A presence beside her made her turn. It was Grohl, the Grenolian elder. Quite a day, he rumbled. Indeed, Zixera replied. Did you ever imagine, when we first encountered the humans, that we'd end up here? Grohl was silent for a long moment. No, he admitted finally. I feared them. Their strength, their adaptability. I saw it as a threat. And now, the old Grenolian's craggy face split in what might have been a smile. Now I see it was exactly what we needed. We had grown complacent, stagnant. The humans reminded us of the joy of challenge, the thrill of pushing beyond our limits. As they stood there, a brilliant flash of light caught their attention. The Harmony, embarking on its first test flight, jumped to faster-than-light speed, disappearing into the cosmos. Zixera felt a swell of emotion. This was more than just a new ship setting out. It was the dawn of a new era. An era where the wisdom and technology of the Confederation would combine with the courage and creativity of humanity, pushing back the boundaries of the known universe. Whatever challenges lay ahead, whatever new wonders or dangers the cosmos held, they would face them together. The children of gentle worlds and the offspring of a Deathworld, united in their quest for knowledge and adventure. As the stars twinkled before her, Zixera whispered a phrase she had learned from her human friends, one that seemed to encapsulate everything they had achieved and everything that was yet to come. To boldly go. The future, vast and unknown, beckoned, and the united races of the galaxy were ready to answer its call.